Hey guys, this is James Cave, and this is Thursday, March 11th. This is another episode exploring the different aspects of the Derek Chauvin murder trial. As always, I am with attorney Nick Palladian. Nick is an attorney with the Legal Rights Center in Minneapolis. Welcome back, Nick.
James, good to see you again. Thanks for having me.
So I guess the big news is that third-degree murder is on the table, and what I'd like you to do, if you would please, is what is third-degree murder?
Yeah, so exactly. Third-degree murder is back in, and what it is the state trying to prove that Derek Chauvin caused the death of George Floyd. That's present in all of the charges, and that he did it by committing an intentional act that is eminently dangerous to others. And it was done so in a way with a quote-unquote depraved mind without regard for human life. And that's kind of that situation traditionally that we talked about, right? Where the person is committing an act that is dangerous to several people, not necessarily directed at just one person, and with a complete disregard for the folks that it may wind up killing.
So could you review for us what sorry, what charges are actually on the table now, or what is Derek Chauvin being charged with as of today, March 11th?
Right. So all three charges are now back on the table. So he's looking at second-degree unintentional murder. That's saying that Derek Chauvin caused the death of George Floyd, present in all of them, and that he did so while committing a felony, that felony being third-degree assault.
Okay.
That's the most serious charge with the highest maximum possible penalty. That's charge number one.
Okay.
Charge number two is now again reinstated, that third-degree murder charge. That was in, then it was out,
yep.
Now it's back in. And then the third and final charge is the second-degree manslaughter, where again causing the death and saying that he did so by committing an act. Derek Chauvin engaged in gross negligence, which is a deviation from reasonable standard of care, and he did it recklessly. Right? He was aware of this risk, and he chose to disregard that risk and do it all the same. So, second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter. None of them require the intent of wanting or meaning to kill George Floyd.
Okay.
But obviously, that is what happened.
So in a previous episode, we talked about none of these charges, if he's convicted of more than one charge, none of them will stack. Okay, so his penalty will be the most severe of the three charges. So why does this matter? Why does this third-degree murder charge matter if there's two others already on the table? Because it won't matter as far as the sentence goes.
Right. So why it matters is that there's still this element of legal limbo happening, right? So the third-degree murder charge, like we just said, it was in, then it's out, now it's back in. And the reason for that, long story short, is that the Court of Appeals in the Mohammed Noor case, former Officer Noor, is appealed that up to the Supreme Court to say, hey, third-degree murder is not appropriate when the actions are directed at one person, right? The Court of Appeals went an interesting route and sort of arguably, right, from our viewpoint, expanded the applicability of that third-degree murder, right? They said, you know what? Actually, it can apply if it's just directed at one person. Realistically, that's a big shift in legal thinking. I mean, so because of that, Judge Cahill added it back on. But the Court of Appeals, they're the middle layer, right? There's the District Court, Court of Appeals, then the Supreme Court. The Noor decision that resulted in the third-degree murder coming back in here in the Chauvin case was at the Court of Appeals. That decision has been appealed up to the Supreme Court. So realistically, that decision is not quite yet decided. The Minnesota Supreme Court, in our opinion, in my opinion, and many others' opinions, we think the Supreme Court is going to overturn the Court of Appeals Noor decision and re-narrow, refocus, restrict the applicability of that third-degree murder charge. So there is it's not guaranteed, but there is a possibility where Derek Chauvin could go to, finish up the trial for this case. The jury could acquit him of second-degree murder. They could find him guilty of third-degree murder and acquit him of second-degree manslaughter. If that happens, and if the Minnesota Supreme Court overturns the Court of Appeals decision in Noor and re-narrows that third degree, then Derek Chauvin could appeal, and his conviction for third-degree murder could go away if the Minnesota Supreme Court narrows it. And if he's only convicted of third, that conviction goes away and he walks. And because the trial has already happened, because that jury was sworn in, jeopardy attached, and they wouldn't be able to retry him due to that the existence of that double jeopardy.
So it sounds like the prosecution, for them, this is more options in the now to get a conviction. But in the long term, what you're saying is the Supreme Court may overturn it. And if they do, Derek Chauvin might walk, free. Again, granted, if he is convicted of third-degree murder, appeal that decision based on the new decision of the Supreme Court that you think will happen coming up in whenever, years or couple of years or whatever. And he can't be tried for any of those three charges again, or those three charges, correct?
Right, because he's already gone through, the principle behind double jeopardy is that we don't want to have the state just saying, okay, we're going to try you for this charge. That one didn't work. Okay, now we're going to try you for this charge. We don't want that. We don't want these multiple trials, which is a good thing, right? I support that. It's an important principle. In a case of this magnitude, where the importance to the community, is so grave, and obviously everyone is entitled to a fair trial. What happens, in the court system, what happens to folks we may not think highly of is also going to happen to folks that we do think highly of. So we want it to be predictable and fair for everybody, right? But it is, in my opinion, and many folks' opinion, sort of odd that the state is pushing the Attorney General's office, the prosecuting folks are pushing this hard. And they're smart folks. They're probably much smarter than I am, and obviously they're working the case day in and day out. So I'd be shocked if that possibility hasn't crossed their mind. But it is weird that they're pushing it so much as this victory when there is that legal limbo out there where, again, it relies on two assumptions, but it could happen.
So if they're way smarter than you, then I don't know where that puts me. But so
we can share a level.
Okay, right. I'll be on the bottom of the same level. You're just at the top. Here's from a novice like me. Here's what it looks like. It looks like the Attorney General's office is trying to get a conviction, period, and they'll deal with and in the future, if it gets overturned, so be it. But they feel that this is their chance to get a conviction. And if that means we're going to take 3 darts and throw them at the dartboard, we will. It's better than 2. Is there any truth to that, do you think?
Yeah, I think that's an accurate way to put it. I think that makes sense, right? They know they took over the case from the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. So there is that added pressure outside of the community pressure to secure a conviction. They came in and said, hey, we are going to take over the case. We're the ones in charge now. There's a massive amount of distrust and mistrust towards the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. So for many folks, it was a big win, even having the Attorney General take over the case, okay, right? But with that comes that pressure of, hey, we came in and folks expect that we are better and we'll do better. So dang, we better make sure we get it. Yeah.
I guess I would just be concerned that a jury is going to look at it and say, God, the guy deserves something, but does he deserve, second degree murder charge? Let's take the third degree. which
Yeah,
is
and that,
which is a victory in the short term, but what you're saying is in the long term, it may end up kind of backfiring.
yeah, it absolutely may. And you know, again, in my opinion, and some other folks' opinion, the second degree unintentional murder charge actually seemingly will be easier to prove. The reason for that is the level of intent
Yeah.
that they're going to have to figure out is really minimal for an assault, right? For an assault, all they need to do is establish, did Derek Chauvin mean to do what he did, right? Did he physically choose to put his knee there? Yes, he did. Unless he's trying to argue that he was having a seizure or sleepwalking, which, you know, neither argument would be made. That's his intent to do that action. Obviously, bodily harm resulted. Somebody dying is certainly substantial bodily harm. And really what they'll have to bicker about, and they'll have to bicker about in all three charges, is the cause of death, right? That's going to be one of the most fought over points of contention. So in my opinion, I think second degree is going to be an easier battle for them. But, you know, we'll see what route they take and what the evidence shows.
Yep. Okay. Nick, thank you very much for your time and your insight. We appreciate it as always. We'll connect with you coming up if there's any big developments in the case. Thank you very much.
Thanks, James. Take care.
All right.